everyone, it's Sharon here. Today I'm sharing with you a card that I've made for Kuretake using these Zig pearlescent watercolour paints. This is the card, and as you can see when I catch the light, these paints have got a really nice shimmer to them, a sort of pearly shimmer. So before I start, I'm just going to add a drop of water onto each one. This will kind of activate the paints and get them ready to use. So I'll just put a drop on every one. At this point I'm not sure what colours I want to use, so I'm just going to put a little drop of water on all of them, and then I can choose as I start to colour the images. Now I've just grabbed a sheet of white card. This isn't watercolour paper, it's just normal white cardstock. And this stamp set is from Avery Allen, it's called Banner and Wreath, and I'm just using one of the flower images. I'm going to stamp this with VersaFine Black Onyx ink. I want to heat emboss it because that will make it easier for me watercolouring. It'll help contain the paint within the lines. So this is a good ink for using with embossing powder. Now I'm only going to use 2 of these flowers, but I'm stamping 4 just so that in case I go wrong on any, and then I can also pick kind of my favourites from the 4. The clear embossing powder I'm using is the Wow Superfine powder. This is my favourite for embossing with clear powder, or any detailed images really. I'm just letting my heat tool get hot before I bring it to the paper. This will hopefully stop the paper warping too much as I heat it. But these are only small images, so I'm not going to need to have my heat gun on there for very long, as you can see. So that's all 4 heat embossed and ready to go, so I can start with my painting. I'm using a fairly fine brush for this because these images are quite small, and I'm only really going to need to put a tiny dot of paint on each area, and the water will kind of let it fill each of the little areas like a well really. So to start with, I'm using the green and I'm just going to colour in all the leaves. I'm going to fast forward a little bit through this because my big fat head kept getting in the way. I think I must have changed the position of my camera slightly before I filmed this. Usually my camera's kind of eye level for me, so it's kind of impossible to put my head under it, but I think I must have had it slightly different today, and unfortunately I've had to edit out quite a few bits with my head in the way. So I've done all the green, and I'm now using the kind of, it's like a teal colour for there's one leaf on this design that's different than the others, so I thought it'd be nice to have that in a different green. And this bluey green's a nice contrast to the other leaves. You can already see before this paint's even dry the shimmer. And now I'm going to paint the main flower pink, and I had to fast forward because my head was completely in the way. So I've painted all the images. I'm ready to put the rest of the card together. This is the wreath stamp, and I'm going to stamp this onto craft card with Memento Cocoa Brown ink, and then I'm going to use the matching die cuts that go with this stamp set to die cut this. So I'm just going to run that through my machine. There we go. And I'm ready to start assembling it. I need to stamp my text next. I'm going to use my Misty tool to stamp the text. I want to make sure this is absolutely perfectly straight because it's quite a long line of text. It would be really noticeable if it was wonky. So this will help me avoid that. So I'm just going to put the wreath where I want it so that I can work out the placement. And I'm going to just select my stamp, and I've got this plastic grid. It's a quilting grid that you can cut to size, and you'll see I've got one underneath the card as well, which stops my foam pad in the Misty getting ink on it. But it's really useful because I can use the lines on this to make sure that the text is perfectly straight, and then I can get these other pieces out the way and ink up the stamp, and it will stamp exactly where I want it to. That's stamped perfectly, so I don't have to worry, but if it hadn't, of course, the other beauty of the Misty is that I could just stamp it again in exactly the same place if an area of it was a bit faint or anything. I'm going to pop up the wreath die cut with some foam pads, so I'm just cutting them into thin strips and putting them all around the back. This will help give it a bit of dimension. So that's, I've just got to work out the placement because it's not a perfect circle, so there's one point in it that the text fits better, so that's that. And now now that my images are dry, the watercolour paint is dried, I've die cut these with the matching dies, and I've picked out my two favourite from the watercolouring, and I'm using a Zig two-way glue pen just to fix these. I've just put a few dots of glue so that I can stick them directly onto the wreath. And I'm putting one in each corner, and that's my card finished. All the products I've used for this card I'll put details of in the description box below on YouTube, and you can also pop over to the Kuretake blog for more details as well. Thanks for watching, see you soon, bye.